it's an easier excuse to be like, hey, this is going on, so worry about that, as opposed to saying, hey, like maybe we don't have everything we want to have together.
Yeah.
Give us time. Welcome back, everybody, to Beers and Boss Battles. We're here on episode 12. Before we get into the video, I'm going to tell you that you should definitely consider going down there and hitting that sub button if you are watching this for the first time or you're returning. I'm sure you know the kind of stuff that we're getting into. And if you're looking forward to any more of that kind of content, you will get that. You will know that it's out, and you'll be aware if you do sub. We're also going to do, at the end of this video, we're going to leave our channels for both his Mixer and my Facebook gaming page. Just so if you guys aren't doing that already, you can follow us on those too. And to start this off the right way, the only way, we're going to talk about the beer that we have today.
Yeah, man.
And Rob, you're usually the guy to start us. So what are you drinking? What do you got? What do you got?
Right, so what I got. So this is from Sloop Brewing, which is a local beer from Hopewell Junction in New York. So it's called Sloop Brewing, and this is called a Horseshoe and Hand Grenade. So Horseshoes and Hand Grenades D-IPA. So I saw this and I was like, I don't know what D-IPA means. And then I looked it up and it means double IPA. Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't even look it up. It's on the back, but here you could see kind of some of the ingredients and look at the alcohol percentage on this bad boy.
7%. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really good. It's very sweet. It's not too sweet, and considering the alcohol percentage, it's not like you taste that. Like when you're drinking this, you're not thinking like, oh man, this is like too powerful. The alcohol is, too tough, but it kind of just blends in there. You can't really tell that the alcohol is as high as it is, but it's good. And everything I've had from these guys is good. So I love their artwork is nice and simple. They kind of have similar artwork to this on a lot of their stuff, just kind of cool colors, and they pop a lot, But,
yeah, no, that's cool. I was supposed to have been drinking that with you too, and now I'm not.
Yeah, Troy was supposed to come up, but he couldn't, and hopefully this coming weekend we'll be able to get together. But yeah, no, it's a really good beer. Maybe if I can, I'll find another one from Sloop Brewing, because I had it, and don't get me wrong, it's really good, but I now want to try something else from them. These were a little pricey, and I don't know what the prices are. It probably depends on who you go to, but it was I think it was like $19 for 4 of them. So it's like, probably a little under $5 a piece, but very good. And it's a pint too.
That's
so
usually
a normal.
That's usually what I get for most of the craft beers and stuff when I go,
That's
like whether
price.
Yeah, for 4 it's usually like roughly $20, so like a little bit under, a little bit over usually. But I'm back to my roots. I have my Broken Skull IPA. That's the Stone Cold Steve Austin one. I want to say maybe in like the second or third episode we ever did, I was drinking this. That is currently my favorite beer to date. That might change though. There's definitely some up and coming beers for me. So the Yes Farms Yes Beer, that's a really good one. I already had that obviously, but revisiting it, I like it that much more. So that's one that's been on my list. And then what was that other one? Conehead by who was it? I forgot. I'm like totally short circuiting on it now, but
No, we're gonna do, guys. If you follow our Beers and Boss Battles Instagram page, so it's at Beers and Boss Battles. I'm gonna start in the future, and I think Troy too. We're gonna post some of the beers that we're having there too. So like, I'll tag the brewer there. I'll have some photos of it, like
and then that way,
what I thought about it.
That way, I don't forget like the name of the company.
Then we can go look at the Instagram page. So. But that'll be cool for you guys. So check that out if you want to look at that Instagram page for Beers and Boss Battles. We'll have some of the beers. So you'll see us talking about them, drinking them in the videos, but you also get a little bit of maybe a brief summary or review of different beers. So we'll throw those up on there.
And also too for the Instagram page, if you're not already following it and you decide to go and give us that follow, for a lot of the videos that we have, we do take snippets from that. Sometimes they can be anywhere from 10 seconds to a couple minutes, depending on what it is and how we feel about what was said. But usually you have parts of each video there, so you can catch a little bit of the content as we go along, as we post more videos. And we're also going to try to break things up a little bit more and segment our videos, because we know that listening for a whole hour and not knowing exactly where we start talking about what, and maybe there's something that you were interested in hearing about, but maybe that's later in the video. So we figured kind of a new approach for us might be, we will create these episodically and we will do that in succession as we go along, but we will also try to segment them to make it where we can have videos just about one subject. So if you're interested in maybe hearing about, like I said, a topic in particular, you'll be able to just visit that video. And like I said, we'll be kind of doing that on the Instagram as well. But yeah, and then we'll try to incorporate some other things that we don't actually do here on the videos or in the channel. Maybe, maybe just short reviews of games that we're playing, just so you guys can keep a little bit more up to date with us if you're not already following us, and, on our streams and stuff. So you can kind of get to see even maybe some of the stuff that we're doing off air. But yeah, so that's kind of just where we want to go. For right now, we're still obviously young in this whole thing.
We're kind of in that experimental figuring out our format.
Yeah. So I
think that's part of what we're talking about.
But I think for us to, we try our best to put out content that is available to all people, something that most people can relate to and come and watch. So as I said, I know they can be pretty long videos. We've had videos where they're an hour and a half long, and it's great. The topics are great, of course. But like I said, if there was something in particular that was kind of on the agenda for that day, and maybe you wanted to hear about that and you don't know exactly, we don't leave markers in our videos to, break anything up. But we figured also too, it might be a nice thing to be able to kind of post clips and snippets from each video on the YouTube as well as the Instagram, and kind of do that simultaneously. I was kind of escaping. We did want to brief you guys. So,
so in the future, so if you're one of these people who's kind of watching these and you're like, well, I don't really want to hear about Modern Warfare again, or I don't want to hear about Fortnite, you'll be able to just, on the YouTube channel, we'll have them segmented. So maybe an episode will be cut into 3 or 4 videos of whatever we were talking about, So if you wanted to hear about Minecraft, or you wanted to hear about something in there, but you didn't have an hour and a half, hopefully when we segment them up, you'll be able to kind of pick, which ones you want to see. So that's something we're going to be working on going forward.
Yeah. So right now we're trying to move towards just being, and I had said this in the last episode, but just trying to be as organic as we can be with you guys, and just now obviously still abiding by our neutral zone kind of structure, where we want to keep this as a space for people to escape the noise. We did figure that a lot of these things will be kind of intertwined with our lives. And so, and it applies to, especially now, the gaming world and a lot of other things. So we do feel it's important to address things, just not get two-sided, or really delve into the harsh reality of it all. We kind of just want to address it. We just want to be able to talk about it and say, this is how it's affecting our world, maybe in ways that are applicable to gaming, or applicable to maybe beer or whatever. So that's kind of where we're at for today's episode. Recently with a lot of the stuff that's been happening, with the protests and the rioting and stuff, there's been a huge movement, obviously, for Black Lives Matter. And right now, you're starting to see a trend in a lot of these companies, a lot of the developers, whether that's from, Halo, Call of Duty, Xbox, PlayStation. All these different companies are coming out and saying, we're going to kind of put the brakes on our progress, and we're going to use this as a window of time for this community and this movement. Now, my take on that, I would say, is and this is talking just simply now. I don't know, Rob, if you feel the same way. I feel like if we're talking simply just on the business side of it and what they're doing, I think they feel like there's going to be a lot of I guess backlash if they're not involved. And I think the problem is that by other companies doing just that and kind of halting their movement and being like, hey, we're just going to back off so that this can get the attention. That puts pressure on these other companies to do the same thing, because I think it says a lot when one company does it. So for the other companies, they probably look at it and they're like, wow, like, well, what happens if we don't say something? I think they're kind of worried about the backlash. I also feel like they're kind of exploiting the situation to a degree. And I'll tell you why. I think they're doing that in a way to give themselves more time. It's an easier excuse to be like, hey, this is going on, so worry about that, as opposed to saying, hey, like, maybe we don't have everything we want to have together. Yeah. Give us time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think like Fortnite and Call of Duty, didn't they delay their updates? I think so. Yep. I think that's kind of what you're alluding to there. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where these companies, it's kind of like, hopefully that they're all doing it for a moral reason. Hopefully they're doing it because they believe in it.
I would like to think so.
At the end of the day, they're companies. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a person. It's a conglomerate of a bunch of people. But at the end of the day, they're businesses, and what are businesses for? It's to make money. Yeah. So I would like to say that they're doing it because they believe in it. But I honestly think that a lot of these companies are doing this because if they don't do it, they don't want to be singled out, and they don't want backlash saying, well, oh, you guys don't support Black Lives Matter, or you don't support this, you don't support that. And I think that's, even if we take this whole Black Lives Matter and the gaming thing out, just in general, I think this is something that can happen. And we see it happening in the world all the time, is like companies kind of caving into pressure. Even sometimes it could be from conservatives, whether it's about, military or different things, or cops, or, so me I like to be one of those people where I don't think a company should have to pick a side in that aspect. So I kind of don't like that. I try to stay away from that. But I do think I agree with you in terms of all these companies doing this. I think it really is more of a financial thing, that they're scared that there could be a negative financial impact on them. So they feel like they're pushed to, talk about these things or push these things. Like, actually, this is kind of a good way to segue into one of the things that we see, Call of Duty, specifically Modern Warfare, what they're doing right now. So they're adding in this screen that talks about their message about Black Lives Matter. So I think it's right down here. You can kind of see it. That's Black Lives Matter. Our community is hurting. Systematic inequalities of our community experiences are once again center stage. Call of Duty Infinity Ward stand for equality and inclusion. We stand against the racism and injustice of our Black community, that our Black community endures. Until change happens and Black Lives Matter, we will never be the community we strive to be. So you see this when you start the game. You see this in the loading screens in between games. So this is a company that's not only coming out and endorsing it, but they're really like, they're forcing you to see it, like you have to see this if you're playing their game. And I don't think, hopefully, I don't know anybody who doesn't support all Black people. I don't know anybody that's racist against Black people. So hopefully we all think that Black people's lives matter, and we are against inequality and against racism, obviously. Thank God I don't know anybody who stands for anything other than that. We all support Black people. But I don't necessarily like that a company is coming out and saying, we're gonna put this into our game and we're gonna make this a big giant focus and fixate on this. And it's like, are they really doing this because they believe in this, or are they doing this because they think it's going to help them and give them, kudos and street cred?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's like, if we're talking, if we were saying that they were genuinely doing it because it was a heartfelt thing and they really were committed to the movement, okay. I just don't know that that's the motive there. I feel like a lot of it is, incentivized by, like I said, other companies pitching in and doing that. And I also feel like it's a window for them to kind of buy themselves time. Not to say that they, like you said, it's not to say that they're against Black Lives Matter or that movement. It's just that I think they're using it as a platform for themselves. They're not actually doing, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of exploiting what's happening as a means to be like, okay, well, this buys us
Get
time
some good cred.
and we can get some
Get
good credit,
credit.
you know, we can buy time, we get good credit, and people are going to look at us better. I think, and that's kind of sad because, you know what I mean? I think then it's almost backwards. Then it's like, are you really, you know, because it's one thing if you mean it, but then it's another thing if as a company, and I can't help but feel like that's a lot of, you know, it's what a company would do, you know, like take advantage of a situation that's happening to be like, hey, we can buy time, we can make ourselves look good by, you know, taking a stand, so to speak. But it's like, I don't even know that that's really necessary. If, you know, and because I'm kind of on the side of they're not doing it for the right reasons, then why do it at all? You know what I mean? Then it's kind of messed up. I don't know. But
well, kind of another thing that I'd
know.
like to say about it is kind of like the same thing that I want to capture here. You know, like if you're watching this video, I don't really want to force feed you my opinions about, you know, almost anything really. I mean, like we're here, we're talking about beer, we're talking about video games, but like I know everybody has their different opinions, especially politically speaking. And I kind of don't like that is forced. I don't want to force that upon someone. So when you have a game, you know, and someone paid money for this game and they're not playing this game, and now you're forcing your opinion on them, I kind of don't like that. That kind of goes against who I am and what I'm about. Again, maybe we've alluded a little bit, you know, to certain feelings that we might have, but generally speaking, I don't want anybody to feel alienated when they're watching this video. I want this to be a place you can come and get away from all the noise and just talk about games, talk about beer, and, you know, get away from all that nonsense. So I feel like that's what people do with video games as well. It's like, I just want to play my video game. Maybe you're the biggest Black Lives Matter supporter in the world, but maybe you want to just go play your video games and forget about it for an hour. You know, I don't know. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way, the way all these companies are doing it. And I think that they're, like you said, I think their motivations are not necessarily the best motivations in the world. I think it's more about money at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, and I think there's nothing wrong, like I said, with the company saying, and hey, hats off to you if you genuinely support, you know what, and that's not in particular to just Black Lives Matter. It's just like in general, if you support a movement, and you're really, you know, doing that, then okay. But when I can't trust that maybe it's coming from the right place, it's kind of hard for me to get behind it, you know?
Yeah.
So
no, we agree, man.
So I mean that's, you know, and like I don't know, it's just one of those, like you said, like having video games as an escape from the real life things is something I think a lot of people innately do. You know, they don't, it's not something intentional or that you're thinking of, but when you play a video game, you know, you really, you know, are all in. You're like, you know, you're not, the world doesn't matter as much anymore. And that's kind of, I feel like in a way, a big purpose and a big role that video games fulfill. But when you become, you know, when you try to bring news or, you know, those kinds of things into play, you know, like think about it, even with COVID, it's not like any of these companies, I mean, at least as far as I can remember, are coming out and being like, you know, all the deaths by COVID and kind of taking a stand there. And I'm not saying that they have to, but that's my point, is like you weren't doing it before. It's just kind of like it should be in what it is. I think it should just be a place for people to just be away from the news, away from, even as fucked up as it might sound, but like even just the movements of the world, like just it's its own thing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like leave the political stuff and the standings and stuff to the people who are supposed to do it. You know what I mean?
What's the problem you run into, because you run into people that say, well, this isn't a political thing. This is an equality thing, or this is an injustice thing.
True.
And I'm not even going to say about this specifically. Like we could be talking about like Israel and Palestine, you know, like there's two sides where people talk about that too. And it's like, and one side will say, or let's say it's pro-military versus like, you know, anti-military. Like there's always, and both sides will do it. I'm not saying that only one side does it, but both sides will try to kind of push you to, well, why won't you say anything? And, oh, this isn't political. This is about human rights, or this is about human life, or this is about this, or this is about that.
No, and that's fine, like, but I just feel like it's kind of the same thing with COVID.
Like pro-life or pro-choice, like people on both sides will try to push you to get like your opinion out or make you make a statement or a stand. And it's like, I feel like gaming, sports, all of these things, these are places to escape from all of the noise, and everybody's going to fall onto one side or another. So like, why does it have to be pushed everywhere? That's what I don't like.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. It's not that I have, like I said, it's not that I have anything wrong with a company genuinely doing something because I support it, especially in this case. But it's if it's not coming from the right place, and on top of that, it's not your place to be. Like, you're a video game company. You know, you're not an activist. You're not, someone out there like a movement leader. You're not a politician. You're a video game company, and it, just like you said, just having this world influence in a place where you don't want to have world influence is kind of just, I feel like, disrupts the flow of it all. But
yeah,
it's me.
like I
said,
there's just a concerted thing going on right now to divide everyone, and like you have to be on this side or that side. I say, hey, everybody, don't fall for that. Let's be on the same side. We can have different opinions. We can think differently. We can feel different ways. But at the end of the day, let's all get along and be able to communicate and like come together instead of dividing into groups. I feel like it doesn't matter where you go. Like everyone is trying to divide you into some group and pick a team. Don't fall for it,
No, I'm 100% with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's sad that there's like a lot of, a lot of this design that people aren't aware of, whether that's through the media or even social media, that plays a large role in what you hear and what you see and what you think and what you feel. And it does push people. It incentivizes you to pick a side, to be a part of something, to hate this group or to hate that group. And that's exactly what we're fighting to not have. Is any prejudice or inequality or division. It's to be united as a people, to be, and have more opportunities for people to just come together. And that's kind of, I guess, where my feelings are at with the whole video game thing, because I feel like it's supposed to be a place where none of that other stuff applies, and you can just come together and be like, hey, I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but we're just going to play this game together, enjoy each other, maybe chat a little bit, whatever. And that's it. And you leave it at that. It's no more nor less. And I think that's what makes it so beautiful,
Well, know what I would like to say? I mean, how many times, let's talk about Call of Duty or Halo or whatever, any game. You hop online, you're playing with, dude, you're talking to people with Southern accents from the South. You're talking to people from New York. You're talking to West Coast people. And you go play that game, dude. I don't care who. You're going to play all sorts of demographics. And typically, most of the time, everybody's kind of laughing, having a good time. Good game, man. That was fun. Dude, you were freaking getting crazy snipe kills. Like, everybody does come together and get along. And I feel like focus on that, man. Like, let's all have fun and come together. Stop falling for all this divisive stuff, man. It's
No, it is. It's just a sad thing, because I think, like I said, and in a world where you're trying more and more to create opportunities for people to be united and for people to actually band together and not be so sided, to see us limiting ourselves, or to see people being so quick to feed into what they're being told or what they're being shown, or like, it's just sad. It's just sad. It's a lot of what the world has come to. And but hey, man, that's exactly why I think it's nice to have an environment like this, for those of you that are here watching this part of the video, or maybe you stuck through the whole thing so far. It's nice because we have this, and we can use this kind of as our environment to escape that noise, have something where we can all come together, talk about something fun. So, I will kind of transition out of this, but, as I had said earlier in the video, we felt like it's important, we do want to address certain things. So my segue out of that conversation would be a question to you. Now that we're a week and a half past the video that we made for Minecraft, I mean, it wasn't just for Minecraft, but we talked about a couple things, but I know primarily we had touched on Minecraft Dungeons. What are your thoughts now? Like, I mean, you've played it. I'm just going to say this as a disclaimer. I have not finished that game. I have not really touched that game. I spent most of my time in the past week and a half getting equipment, trying to set up my stream, promote and do all kinds of other things. So I have not cut out any time. I've been playing Kingdom Hearts and doing a bunch of other shit. But for you, now that's why I'm saying this is my question to you. what are your thoughts on it versus back then? Do you think that anything for you has changed? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, you know what I mean? Because when you first started playing, you said like, oh, it's a little bit easier. I mean, there's definitely a power creep going into those like
Yeah.
second, third levels. But what do you, in terms of just the experience, like, is it better, worse, kind of where it was at? Like, what do you think?
I would say that my feelings on the game are better than they were. Not that they were even bad to begin with, but they're definitely better because the game is super simple, as we spoke about in the first video. It's very simple, and I think that's what they were going for. They wanted it to be simple. They didn't want to alienate anybody. They wanted it to be able to appeal to probably many different types of gamers. But now that I'm deeper in, the game does get deeper. So the biggest thing to this game is the enchantments. So you have, like, every time you level up, you'll get an enchantment, and now you can use that to put it towards like an upgrade, so to speak, to a weapon, armor, or like your bow. So your melee weapon, your bow, your ranged weapon, and then also your armor. So, and when you look at those enchantments, there's all different kinds. And as you play the game longer, you'll get even more different kinds that you didn't have before. Like, now I'm starting to unlock these cool enchantments where it'll every 3 shots it'll set off an explosion, or maybe the arrow will go through an enemy and come out the other side and hit another enemy and back. There's an attack where it'll make enemies turn on each other. So every so many hits, now one of the enemies that you hit, that becomes almost your ally. Now that enemy will attack other enemies until it dies.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, there's lightning attacks, there's explosion, poison attacks. I think there's fire attacks too. There's even an attack. There's even an enchantment where, like, when you roll, so in the game you can roll, you can hit RB or use the right joystick to roll in the direction that you want. So when you do that roll, you'll leave a trail of fire in back of you. So you can use that as a way to kind of create a little wall of fire, or you can have it that you're being attacked and they're chasing after you and pursuing you. And now I'm going to activate that, and the enemies that follow me are going to get lit on fire and get hurt. So there's all these super cool enchantments that you will get as you play. As you get further into the game, you're going to unlock more unique ones, more cool ones, different ones that you didn't have. They were pretty simple in the beginning. So I'm like really enjoying that aspect. That's something that, like, me and my uncle, we played this weekend a lot. So I think yesterday is when we really started realizing, we're like, man, these enchantments, that's where this is at. That's where you're going to learn all these different ways to play, different play styles. Also, one cool thing is those enchantments that you assign to, either your weapon, armor, or whatever. When you salvage, let's say I'm done with this weapon, but I put a ton of my enchantments into it. Let's say I put like 8 enchantments into it. I can now salvage those back and put those towards a new piece of equipment. So there's cool aspects with that too. So I would say, if you're playing this game, don't be scared. If you like a weapon or a piece of armor or a bow or whatever, and you actually like it, it's got cool abilities and you enjoy it, don't be scared to put enhancements into it. Enchantments, not enhancements. Don't be scared to put those into it, because you can, in the future, if you get a better weapon, a higher level weapon or whatever, or maybe something that you just want to play with, you can salvage those enchantments back. So I would say don't be scared not to use them, because if you don't use them, you're not unlocking even half of the potential of any given weapon or piece of armor that you're using. So my impressions, now that I'm like a couple weeks into the game, I've had more time to play with it. I think I'm level like 38 or 40, something like that. Maybe I'm like level 40 something, I think, actually. I'm definitely the game has depth to it. There is more to the game. It is simple, and you could say that's a great thing about it or a bad thing depending on the kind of gamer you are, but there is depth later on. So maybe if you were kind of thrown off in the beginning thinking it's too simple, too casual, there is depth, and there is, there is difficulty. Man, this game gets tough. Even me and Jack were playing, and the difficulty scales. So whatever your level is, you might, like, I'm level like 30 something, and my uncle was like level 20 something. So he was at least 10 levels behind me. The game, it does a really good job of balancing, that difference in level. and scaling the difficulty towards that.
It's a more of like an average based on between the 2 or between the 4 to like make it more like even playing field for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and you definitely feel it. Like my uncle brought it up a few times where he'll see me run into a crowd and I'm able to take that crowd out quicker than he is. Another thing I'll say is, so me and Jack, your buddy Jack, we were playing and he was telling me how he tried on his own to go do the last level, couldn't do it. Then me and him went to go try to play it, couldn't do it. And I'm pretty sure the game does scale. So if you're playing by yourself, it's going to be one difficulty. And if you're playing in co-op, it's probably going to adjust for that. But dude, me and my uncle, by the skin of our teeth yesterday, we did beat the last level. And it was bittersweet, though, because here's what happened. We had an insane fight. I think I didn't post it yet. I will post it to the Every Gamer on my Instagram. You're going to see when we finally killed that boss, how like down to the wire it was. Like we were down to our last life. My uncle died. When we finally beat it, so here's what happened. So we killed him. He dropped like a heavy crossbow or something. And it was an okay weapon. It wasn't that great. And then, when you beat the levels, I don't know if you actually remember this, when you complete a level, it shows you your statistics for like how many enemies you killed, how many chests you found, mobs defeated, all that. And then after that, they give you a treasure chest opens up and it gives you an item. And I want to say that I think that item's always the same item, at least in my time playing. So like if you beat the same level over and over again, at the end, you always get that same item, but it'll be like a higher level. So the item that we got for beating the game after this crazy boss fight that we just had, we were so pumped. We're like, how the hell did we win that? We didn't even think we could survive and beat it. We got, I forget what it's called. It's like an electric staff or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like literally an item that I picked up earlier in the game, in the same exact level. And it was literally this, not only was it in the level that I picked the same item up, it was the same level.
Yeah, that's a letdown. That's a letdown.
The level of the item they gave me was the same. So it was like, man, all of that, and I got nothing for it. So I will say they do a great job of scaling things, kind of letting people who are new maybe or not, maybe not super hardcore, being able to access and play the game, and then keeping hardcore gamers satisfied with the enchantments and the higher difficulty levels that do pop up as you're playing. But man, what a bummer! Like really,
that is a bummer. Yeah,
that's a letdown. That was lame. I'll straight up say that, very lame the way they end that last level and that last boss fight. You feel like, wow, I just went through hell and I got something I picked up earlier in the level. Like that was a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll say this: if you're talking about we're talking about like platform type games or like linear progression type games, where there's not, I mean, there might be side stuff, but it's typically like start finish kind of games. Not having a good end game reward is like defeating. It's so, because you play that whole game and you're like, dude, I can't wait to see what happens when we finish this game. Like what's going to open up, what's going to be, what am I going to get? Like, and then to have the game turn around and be like, oh, well, I mean, that's it. If you want to play it again on a harder difficulty, go for it. But it's like, do I want to do, like, I'm sure, hey, maybe there is a reward. I know a lot of games, like, they give a reward for beating it on each difficulty or whatever, or the harder difficulties. But it's like, even then, it's like nothing. Like, especially if it's like, dude, this is, like you said, like an item I acquired, fucking in the same level, at the same level, like the same gear.
It wasn't even
it's
a higher
just,
level item. It was the exact same level.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
a bummer.
I don't know. I'd say for my experience, I did feel like my perception of the game was that I did feel like it was going to get progressively harder. Like that was something that was going to happen. I just didn't kind of see that happen too much. I mean,
granted, though, you have not played.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I've only played like a couple levels.
Hours? Yeah, you probably have got a couple hours. Yeah.
I think I've only beaten like 2 or 3 of the maps. So it's like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like, if you're talking about like the game as a whole, for me, I can't really attest to whether or not it's like, rewarding enough for me, because I'm not at that point. But like if I got to the point where like I was in your shoes, like, hey, like I've played this game now, I've beaten next to every level, like, and now it's like I'm getting to that point and it's like, you
Yeah,
know.
no, I beat every level now. So there's going to be a DLC, so I'll probably play whatever that is. But here's what I would say. So that was a big bummer. I'm not going to defend that. I think that was a mistake. But all I thought after that was I want to go play through the other levels that are to beat on a harder difficulty, and
Okay.
I'm still excited for the game. I want to get. So I think the max level is 108. So like I'm level, I can't remember if it's late 30s or somewhere in the early 40s. I want to say maybe early 40s, I think is my level. But I'm more pumped. I want to play it. And like, here's the other thing. I think they could do a little bit better job with loot. So all of these games, I don't care if it's Diablo, Borderlands, whatever, they're all kind of based around grinding and getting loot. Now, excuse me. Now, some of these games
That's
I think
cute.
give you too much. That was adorable, right? Some of these games I think have a habit of giving you too much loot. So what happens is you might have a weapon you actually really like, and then literally like 20 minutes later you get a weapon that's so much better than that weapon you liked. You're like, well, I guess I'll just equip this weapon because it is better, but I did kind of like that weapon, and you didn't even get to really play with it for very long. And I've noticed that. I don't care if it's the Division, if it's Borderlands. You know, a lot of these games make your gear obsolete way too quickly.
Yeah.
Minecraft, I think, is kind of the opposite. Like where I have these sights, they're dual-handed sights, and I don't remember when I got them. I think I was like maybe level 30 when I got them. They were level 36 sights. One cool thing about this game too is even if something's higher level than you, you're able to use it. I don't know why, but you're able to use it. So I've been using these sights for literally like I played with them for a couple of days or more now of gameplay, like hours and hours and hours. And literally it's to the point now where it's just like I'm not getting any new gear. So this game I think is almost the opposite, which there's part of me that likes it, but another part where they went too far with it, where some of the gear you end up hanging on to longer than you'd want to. Like it's like, well, maybe I
Yeah.
want to play with a different kind
Well,
of
then I mean,
weapon
also
or
too
get a
though, but
higher level.
you said, well, I was gonna say because like you said, you can salvage all of it. So I feel like if you ever get to that point, maybe it's like, okay, well, I've had this gear too long. I'll just salvage it down, grab all the enchantments off it, and then I'll take this thing that I haven't really gotten into, and maybe I'll just like enchant the shit out of that, and
But
then
that
make.
only works if you have a weapon that can compare to it. Like these sights that I've had, I have not picked up a new melee weapon that can compare with these things. Like in terms of the damage they
How
do,
early did you get those?
dude, I've
Like,
had them for. I think I played the entire weekend with my uncle. We probably played like 7-8 hours between the 2 days. I have not found any new melee weapon. Like I've been using this for over 2 days. Maybe even like a week because I think I was using them with Jack too. So I've had those forever, and I actually really like them. But it's almost the opposite feeling that I get with some of these other games, where it's almost like, okay, well now I feel like at my level I'm like early 40s, and I'm still using a melee weapon that's level 36. Like why am I not getting any new melee weapons that compare? And I
yeah.
haven't. They keep dropping level 30, 36s, 34s. Like
Mm.
none of them are the level I'm at. One other complaint is so in this little hub world that you're in between levels, they have like a guy you can buy stuff from with your emeralds that you collect. And they'll drop weapons and armor, one of them. And then the other guy gives you relics. So it'll be, you know, those things you can assign to X, Y, or B, or square, triangle, or circle if you're on PlayStation.
Yeah. I know
So
what you're
those
talking
relics, so there's like a relic guy, and then there's a weapons and armor guy. And you can turn in emeralds for like a random kind of lottery spin at maybe an item. And those almost never pay off. Like I've spent thousands of emeralds on stuff, and I've only gotten a couple items that were like even worth equipping. So I would say
about. Okay.
that's kind of a bummer too, because sometimes you play through a whole level and you're like, maybe I can get something from this blacksmith guy, and you end up getting nothing to show for it. But at the end
Yeah,
of
I
the day,
mean,
my
that's kind of.
impressions are good of the game.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I was playing, even though granted I hadn't played all that much, it was just that I remember going to that guy and then I did that lottery thing you're talking about, and I was like, oh, like this would be great. Like I'll spend emeralds, I'll get some like good gear, and it was like, nah, like I didn't get anything like
Yeah,
where I was like, oh shit, like this is so
it's
cool.
kind of useless. I would say,
You know,
yeah,
like
like
I
keep
got
your
like
emeralds.
two. I think no. I mean, okay, so maybe I got like one decent thing, but it wasn't like great. I never
Yeah.
like. I must have gotten like a handful of different things from him, and not one of those things was like, wow, dude, like it's kind of just like, oh, it's cool, it's like, and it's kind of like the same.
Probably like 1 out of every 15 spins you get something that's worth it, maybe.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
if that, and that, yeah, that's a lot of emeralds right there. Well, okay, so like, what would you, now that you're here, what do you want to like? What would you like to see them do differently? So with if they expand the game, they drop DLC, which I'm sure they're going to do. Some of the the bigger updates that are going to come out. What would you like to see in those updates?
Honestly, I would kind of like to see what I was just talking about. Maybe some better gear drops where I like what they're doing in terms of not giving you gear every second where you're like, okay, this gear means nothing to me, like, because I'm getting new gear all the time. And it kind of becomes annoying. I mean, dude, I know in the Division 2, I love that game. Don't get me wrong. I have probably like 150 hours in that game. I played that game a lot. But one problem that I always ran into in that game was like, I would like a weapon, but then I feel obligated to equip this new weapon that's a higher level that's better because your weapon damage or whatever is kind of obsolete. And the other thing in that game is that depending on what gear you have equipped, all your weapons and stuff, it adds to your overall level, which adds to getting better drops. So it was like, even if you were like, you know what, even though this weapon's a lower level, I'm going to use this because I like using this weapon. I enjoy playing with this weapon. You felt obligated to equip the higher level item because then your gear drops wouldn't be as good because your overall level would go down because you had something that wasn't max level equipped. In that game, the goal was to get everything max level. Every piece of equipment, every weapon, they wanted all your gear. Everything was supposed to be as high a rank as possible. So now your drops have a higher likelihood of being higher level drops. So you felt obligated to always equip higher level things. So you couldn't always play with the stuff that you liked. Whereas this game almost goes too far, in my experience. I mean, drop it down in the comments below if that's not your experience. But at least with my melee, my bow, I definitely have found better bows drop more often. And maybe that's totally random. Maybe it's just my luck. But man, these sights I have had for literally probably over 10 levels now, and I have not found anything new. It's really tough for me to find a new melee weapon. So I want them to work on that. What I would like to see is maybe some sort of gameplay element with the environment being involved, because what happens in this, you're running around a big map. You can hit down on the D-pad to look at your map. And you're kind of, if you want to be thorough and find all the dungeons and enemies and chests, you're going to go through everything that you can see on that map. But there are secrets. So there'll be, sometimes you can jump into a well and you'll find your way into a dungeon. Like, I feel like they got to add more stuff like that, more secret stuff on the map that incentivizes to go explore. Because what happens, like me and my uncle were talking about it yesterday, you end up exploring and you end up going down all these hallways and caverns, and at the end, there's nothing. There's no enemies to kill for experience. There's no chests. There's nothing. So sometimes you'll go like minutes out of your way to go down a different area and there's nothing to pay off. I think put things at the end of those, whether it's, chests you open up, maybe a cool enemy you fight to get experience, or maybe even the secret areas, add in those like secret doorways where I can travel to a dungeon or travel to a new area, like kind of, reward people for exploring. I think they got to do a better job with that. I would definitely like to see a little bit more diversity with the weapons. So you have like swords, claymores, you have this dual-sided weapon, you have the dual-handed sights and daggers. You don't have like a staff. There's a staff that's an artifact, but it's not your main melee weapon. I think maybe a little more diversity with melee weapons. The bows, I think, are good. I don't think you need to really add too many types of different bows, but the melee weapons, I would kind of like to see some more diversity. I would like to see maybe, I don't know, because I've heard different things on this. Before the game came out, I thought I heard that there was randomly generated dungeons, but playing the game, I don't see that. I mean, when I play through it, it's the same every time. I would actually like to see that. Add in randomly generated dungeons. So you have your theme of the map, the look of it, all that stuff, but maybe add in randomly generated dungeons so it's a little bit different every time. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would like that, or like even maybe like if they get really involved with having like an online interface, maybe just like really doing a lot with that. I think a good idea would maybe like even be just dropping like a raid or a dungeon of the week. keep it randomized, sure.
Yeah, raids would be a great idea.
Like a
Maybe
raid, like
8-player raids.
yeah, like make
Yeah.
it big, like real intense, a lot of bosses, like good
Good gear.
drops. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be cool, I think, for that game. Sorry, I keep
Yeah,
stretching.
that would make a big difference, definitely. Some
Look.
big map with some insane bosses on it. Yeah, nice raid. I mean, think about it. All your staples of those kind of co-op experiences. I don't care if it's like World of Warcraft, Destiny, even Division, whatever it is. I mean, they all have raids, quote unquote. So yeah, this game definitely needs raids. That should definitely be part of it.
Yeah. So, what were we planning on touching on before we go? Which was, um, we wanted to kind of just get into maybe some of the stuff I was doing, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So you with your, the Kingdom Hearts and all that.
Yeah. So recently, I touched on this already, but I started getting into Kingdom Hearts. And that's been a lot of fun for me. That's been really cool. I think the game, playing it now as somebody who kind of missed it growing up, I don't know. It feels a lot different than I thought it was gonna feel. I don't know why. I guess just like, I mean, granted, I had played it a little bit as a kid, but I never really got into it. And I think now playing it for the first real time as an adult, it's kind of like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I can't help but think every time I play it, wow, like I wish I had played this growing up, which is I guess is a testament to how good it is, because I'm wishing that I would have played it. But I do feel like it's just a different experience, at least than what I had what I went in expecting. But it's been a lot of fun, I can't deny that. I think the game's also very different in terms of the play style and kind of what I thought it was going to be. So there's a lot, there's definitely an arcade kind of dynamic there, where depending on the world you're in, you'll have to do different kind of things. I've only right now been to 2 worlds, and one of the worlds I don't think I've fully completed yet either. So I've been to the Coliseum from the Hercules films, the Disney Hercules films, and I went to the Deep Jungle out of the Tarzan films, and I
saw that. Is that where you were swinging on the vines and stuff?
Yeah,
I saw a little bit of that.
So it's just, but that kind of thing right there, where you're swinging on vines, or earlier in the level, you're with Tarzan, you're sliding down a tree and doing stuff like that. So that's definitely not something I thought they were gonna have. I thought it was gonna be more just battle kind of thing.
It's got a little platforming kind of.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'll say though, I think one thing I don't like is that much about the game is I feel like sometimes it's kind of I'm sorry, man. I kept hitting all these stretches, and that's really got me in the yawn mode. No, but are you onto that right now?
Well, I don't have very much left here, and it goes bad. They say you should drink your wine within 3 to 5 days of opening it. You want to keep it cool. But I think I opened this it might be 5 days ago, and I don't have a lot left. So I just finished my beer. I was like, you know what? Oh, for any wine fans out there, this is called Prayers of Sinners. It's from Washington State. It's a 2007 red blend wine. Now, I'm not a big wine guy. My girlfriend's into wine, but I saw it in the store. It was $11, and I was like, let me try it out, and I like it. It's good.
I'm not a wine guy. I'm not gonna lie. It's good. I don't know.
I like the artwork.
Most of the time, I'm just into drinking beer, so.
I hear you, bro. I'm a beer guy. It's not wine and boss battles, Troy.
That's right.
It's beers and boss battles for a reason.
Well, I was gonna say, so with Kingdom Hearts, the only thing I don't like is that I feel like sometimes with when I'm playing it, it seems kind of aimless. So it feels like you know what the objective is, but there's no kind of direction. But it's annoying because everything's in most of these these kinds of RPGs, everything's broken up into different areas. So you have to travel to one area, and it's just kind of you spend 10-15 minutes like trying to discover like what area you should go to as opposed to actually progressing. I think that's kind of a
Is it not
bummer.
linear? Is
It
it like it doesn't lead you in a specific direction? You kind of can pick.
sometimes yeah, but other
That's
times
cool.
no. So it's like it depends on it depends on like what level you're doing and what's going on. But sometimes it's a little bit more straightforward. In other cases, though, you end up spending a lot of your time trying to maneuver through the map and find new areas where in reality you might not have even had to go there. You might have had to be in the beginning, but it's like there's nothing that would say that's clear to me, like why the hell would I go to the beginning? Like I'm over here in this part, like for what reason? Like sometimes they'll say, like, oh, this is happening, but I experienced that a lot, especially with this last mission that I did for the Tarzan movies, where like I went in and you go to this first area and then you meet Tarzan and then you have to jump down and you have to follow him and then you get to the tent and then it's like, but then they don't really explain to you, do you go like right or left? And then so I feel like accumulated time that I spent looking around the map was like a lot more than I actually spent fighting or doing shit. So that was kind of whack. And I experienced something similar early in the game where I was kind of running into the same problem where like you're looking for Donald and Goofy and you don't like, it's random. Like you pretty much are following a certain route and they're following behind you. So pretty much every time you move forward, they're kind of making it clear to you like, oh, they're catching up. And then at a
Oh,
certain
they're not
point,
supposed to catch up?
well, here's the thing. Then at a certain point, it's like there's a whole nother area. There's a whole nother 2 areas for you to explore. And then you go to those areas and nothing happens. And you're kind of just like, oh, maybe I missed something in that. Maybe it was in that last area. And then so like, and then you go to find out you have to go to like the accessory shop and like go to leave. And then
The
that's
game
how it
didn't
happens.
like indicate that in any way.
No, there's no indicator at all. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. Like
I feel
that's
like that's a
annoying.
lot more common with old games for sure, but Japanese games, like from Japanese developers, I feel like they don't really hold your hand at all. It's kind of like you look at Fantasy Star. I mean, how many times in Fantasy Star Online when we were playing that, where it's like I don't really know what to do or where to go or who to talk to. And I think if you're into those kind of games, it kind of comes naturally. But if you're not playing those games very often, I think that happens. That can happen a lot.
Well, I think that's the issue for me. Like I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just feel like
How far
it's
in
fun.
are you?
It's fun. It's fun. It's just that is a big like I said, that's a roadblock. It's like you're having fun, and it's like, all right, well now I have no idea where to go, so I'm gonna spend like 30 minutes looking for, where I'm supposed to go. That kind of sucks.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole Disney? Adding in all the Disney characters and the Disney universe and stuff. Is it pretty well done the way they do it, or?
Yeah, no.
I mean, granted, the game's like over 10 years old, right? I mean, that's an old game.
Yeah, they
was it 2005 or something?
If that, yeah, like 2002.
2004. Oh wow, okay. So
It's very old. I mean, I could look it up. I'll look it up now. I actually don't know off the top of my head like how old it is exactly.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it.
There.
I do know. So I had a friend growing up who was very into PlayStation, and I know she loved those games. Like so when I went to her house, I played them a little bit, but myself, I never owned them and I never played through them. But I know they definitely have a big following. There's a lot of fans out there that love the series,
So I'm looking at Kingdom Hearts. I think it's Final Mix, which is not the original, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's maybe it is. Anyway, so it's saying Kingdom Hearts, like the first one, was December 26, 2002. Kingdom Hearts 2 was December 22nd, 2005. Kingdom Hearts, and then
3 is only a couple years old, right?
Yeah, like 2 years, if that.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Yeah. So, anywho, it's been a lot of fun for me, and I think that they did do a good job with like making those elements work together in a cohesive kind of way. I'll say though, I think that the game for me right now, I can't. There's a part of me that's seeing a lot of the things that got better. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm playing it now, and I'm like, oh, that's good, and that's fun, but
Piece of cork in my mind.
but I can't help but feel like, okay, when I play Kingdom Hearts 2, this is gonna be like such a better experience. Like just seeing the
Yeah,
improvements they'll make in the game.
probably.
So it's just one of those. But I mean,
One of those ones, probably like a lot of games. If you played it back when it came out and it was brand new, you would have gotten a little more out of it. But
yeah.
that's all of gaming, man.
But also too, I'll say the only other thing that I'm not huge on, and it's not that it's a bad thing. I just kind of like, I don't know. So pretty much the way that it works is when anytime you're in a world and you want to travel to another world or a world that you've already been to, you have to travel in this ship. So they're on like this little ship with Donald and Goofy, and you have to like shoot meteors and like go through rings. It's kind of similar like the Star Fox 64 type of thing.
Yeah.
Anywho, so and that's fun. It is fun. It's very yet again another arcade style element to the game, but
It's old.
it does get old, especially when it's like, dude, I was just at that world. Like, why can't I just fast travel? Like, why do I have to experience that whole thing again just to get back? You know? And I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot of reason to go back to places most of the time. Like most of the time you're just like whatever, you're going from here to there kind of thing. You're not like I don't know, you're usually moving in a forward motion. Like you're not going back to where you were. But still, like just even thinking that, like, okay, well, if I do want to go back, I have to like carve out like fucking 5 minutes to like I don't know. It's just kind of it gets annoying at times. But other than those two things, I will say that the game has been very fun, and it is very good.
How far in do you think you are?
I want to say maybe like 20%, if that.
Oh wow!
I think
So
20%.
you definitely got more time before you get to that second game. Then, are you going out of your way to try to do everything, or you think you're going to kind of just go?
I'm trying to. I want to be as much of a completionist as I can be, but I obviously can't make any guarantees because it's also a game that I've never played before. So for me, it's like, like
yeah, you don't even know.
There's going to be a lot of things that there's going to be a lot of things that I'm sure I'm going to miss, and I'm not even going to know that I'm missing them. And because I'm not the person that's usually inclined to go out there and look at the strategy guides and stuff like that and the FAQs, I usually just or YouTube videos, whatever. I usually try to just take it upon myself to experience the story as best as I can and do everything.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah, but so because I'm not going to probably be doing that, I'm probably going to miss a ton. But I'm doing my best to be like thorough. So that's also another reason why I'm probably at 20%. If I wasn't worried about getting all the extra little things, I probably would be further along. But also another thing too is you got to remember, like, Square Enix is not the company that makes Final Fantasy. They're very big into those little things playing a bigger role. Like collecting all those things can get you like a crazy weapon, or like I know in Kingdom Hearts there's actually like secret bosses and stuff that you can.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's stuff that you revisit like after you've beaten the game, but I know that there are secret bosses. So for me, it's like, I have that much more of a reason to try to go out of my way, but I also, like I said, it's just a pure enjoyment thing, and I'm having fun. So it's like, why not take my time,
Yeah. So what do you think about the Jak and Daxter? Are you going to kind of go back and forth and do them, or you think you're going to just focus on Kingdom Hearts for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably try to get back to Jak 2 tomorrow, actually. So
Okay, cool.
I don't know, at what point this video will be posted, but I can tell you that, like today as we're talking, by tomorrow, Tuesday the 9th, I'll be trying to get back to that. I'll be streaming that. Even if it's just for a little bit, I do want to try to make some headway in that game. And that's another title that I'm very early into. So there's a lot to be talked about, but I think, for right now, I will say though, between the two games, great experiences, a lot of fun.
No, that's cool. Dude, know what my problem is? Here's my problem. I would love to play all of those games, but look at this. I mean, like, my uncle lent me some. So this I actually did beat. So Uncharted 4, I beat. Loved it. Freaking awesome game. Did I just turn I think I turned my TV off. Spider-Man. You lent me Spider-Man, which I've heard only good things about.
Mm-hmm.
Also, well, Death Stranding we have not talked about, but I started this game. I like it a lot. I know there are very mixed feelings about this game, but I love Hideo Kojima's style. As weird as it is, and as like as much as it
What is
doesn't
that
make a
game
lot of
about?
sense to me, dude, the best way to describe this is it's a delivery horror game. It's like you're traveling through this like weird world where like there was some crazy war that happened and you're trying to deliver stuff to like kind of restabilize things. It's too hard to explain. It's really weird, but when the gameplay mechanic is I got to get this thing from point A to point B, and I can either use a vehicle to do it or I could just carry it by foot. But carrying it by foot, I might run into more enemies. Like it's really weird, and I definitely can see why people have a problem with the game. But I was enjoying it a lot. But it's definitely a long game. So the section I was in was really kind of taking a long time to complete, and I was kind of like you in terms of I wanted to do everything, so I didn't move on to the new area. This is one I got to get back to, but I have all these games that I already have that I haven't played. This one too. I think this is. I don't know. I think mostly good things I've heard about this. Detroit Becoming Human. It's kind of one of those games where I think it's a third-person kind of action game, but it's all about the story. So you make decisions in this game, and then it'll impact what happens to the characters or maybe even the world in that game. So there's tons of different endings. Depending on what decisions you make, it'll decide whether a bunch of different characters either live or die. I saw a lot of gameplay for this. This looks super good. I have all these games I got to get to, man, and what I'm gonna do is, as much as I'd like to go play the Jack and Daxter games and some of these other games, I'm just like, I already have so many games I gotta play, dude. It's nuts.
No, I'm
There's
with
too
you
much.
on that. That was actually kind of where I was at for such a long time. And dude, even now I have like games that are still in the plastic. Like I just never broke them out. So I mean, for me,
And
it's
well, the
like
other thing is that we always play multiplayer. We play
yeah,
multiplayer a lot too, so it's hard to find time to do these other games, you know?
yeah. I mean, it's a tough balance when you know, especially for me, where like every time, and I, you know, especially for you too, where like between the two of us, you know, you're trying to like incorporate as much stream time as you possibly can when you're playing. So it's like, well, if I play, I want to stream, but if I'm streaming, I want to play something, you know, that's going to be fun, kind of entertaining, and
Not as
it's hard.
grindy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of those games can be super grindy because they're very like story-based games where there's like a lot of build-up and things that you have to collect and do,
Yeah.
and so. I mean, I don't know. I think for people that are really into those kinds of series, it's easier for them to kind of just jump on and be like, "Oh, hey, this is fun to watch." But I think for most people, yeah, I mean, granted, most people are looking for Warzone and Fortnite and you know multiplayer platform games, but
Yeah.
still, like it's just it is a hard balance. It's hard to find time, let alone to play anything new, to play something like that where it's like, okay, well, I have to like rediscover this game. Like I've had this game maybe, but I've never actually like really dived into it. I gotta like, I don't know. There's a lot there. So I mean, I was like I said, man, I'm in a way still in that boat, but I'm trying my best to revisit games. I'm trying my best to play the games that I've always said for like the longest I was gonna play, Kingdom Hearts included. So yeah, man. I mean, it's tough, and it's also when you find out the game that you know, or you're actually in the mindset where you want a game like retro games, go on the throwbacks and stuff, or even in your case, it's more contemporary titles, but still venturing into something new, um, dude, it can be rough, man, because then it's like, well, I'm in the mood to do it, but like now what game do I play? Like you have all those games. You have Spider-Man, you have Detroit Became Human, you have this, you have that. And it's like,
remember Jet Force Gemini? I was doing that. Like that's another game. I'm like, I want to get back to that and beat it, but it's like, it's tough, man. Like the only way I'd be able to do it is honestly if I was like, I'm not playing any multiplayer until I beat 10 of these games. That'd be the only way I could do it. Where my uncle does that. He really multiplayer doesn't matter to him. Like 90% of his gameplay is single player by himself. Maybe 10% or less is probably playing co-op or multiplayer. And he's able to knock these games out over and over and over again. And me and him always have these discussions and we laugh at each other because it's like we're very different in the way that we play. But in order to have the time to play those games, you would almost have to just give up multiplayer for a while to be able to play through a lot of these.
It's true. I haven't played Fortnite as much. I haven't played Warzone as much. So, yeah. But I'm okay with it because I feel like it's something that I've neglected for a very long time. So now, like, being like, oh, hey, well, now I'm actually going to carve out time for this is, like, fine with me, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, if you're good, we could do an outro.
Yeah, guys, for the record, I mean, so I have bags under my eyes all the time, but in case it looks a little worse than normal, it doesn't look that bad, but I have like a little bit of a cut and a little bruise there. I was pruning some bushes and branches, and a branch hit me in the eye. Thank God it didn't literally hit me in the eye. It hit me right here. But in case you picked up on it.
Little Robbie Bobby's hurt. He's got a boo-boo.
Pale and hurt. And
remember, guys, vote for which team you want to be on. So it's the winning side or the losing side.
Are we saying they have to pick between me and you? Is that what we're saying right now?
Yeah, remember we said we're gonna do this. It's gonna be Team Rob, it's gonna be Team Troy.
All right. So for everybody that's Team Troy, this is his Facebook. This is trademarks. This is where you're gonna watch his streams. He pops one up brand new. This is what you're gonna see. All right.
Yes, sir.
So tune in, and if you're Team Rob, you're going to fly over to the Mixer, the Every Gamer, so the_every_gamer.
And him, 25 followers, growing it, man. You were 16 last time I saw you.
Oh, man, yeah, I'm doing it. See, look at this, guys. I'm made. Look at this. People know who I am.
He's a star.
The Every Gamer, everybody knows. But look, there was my last stream, Minecraft. Look at that. So if you guys want to check out our streams, please feel free to do so. If you want to follow us on Instagram, check out our Instagrams as well.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that for you guys.
Any love you can give us. And half the time we're following you back too. And, if you guys want to talk about anything, leave comments anywhere, man.
Yeah, we'd love to just chat too. Yeah, we'd love to just chat. I mean, if you guys want to just stop in the stream, just say what's up. Yeah. Shit talk us, say what's up, say you love us. It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever you do is what you do. We just, we're here for everybody's
journey. Tell us that you don't like beer, you like wine.
That's right.
And
it is like wine and boss battles now.
You don't like this wine. You're like, this wine's not good. Yeah, this is a better wine. I want to hear about it. I don't care. Let's do it up.
I'm so tired. I'm not really tired. I just keep hitting this fucking yawn because I'm going for the stretches. It is cool, actually. It's very satanic.
I mean, it's just a skeleton. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's satanic, but.
All right, guys, we're gonna log off today. Thank you again for joining us. I'm gonna remind you again, if you didn't do it already, go down, hit that sub button. We have a ton more stuff to talk about, more stuff coming out, and if you want to be up to date and see when those videos drop, hit that button.
If you don't want to sit through an hour and a half, we're going to try to deliver you smaller, shorter videos dictated on whatever topic. So this video that we just did, probably we'll break it up into 3 videos. So if you only want to hear about Minecraft Dungeons or you only want to hear about Kingdom Hearts, hopefully we can deliver that to you guys. So let us know, too, if that matters to you. Because I would assume it probably does. Not everybody has a bunch of time to watch the whole thing.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.